Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, Riri J. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than what I normally talk about, but I feel like can help somebody purchases you make in the future. You can look at this video and just be really careful about your purchase. This video is going to be about my Range Rover nightmare experience. I'm actually currently still going through that experience as we speak. I have the keys right here to show that I still have possession of the car, but there's a lot that has happened with that car since literally January of this year. Last year, 2021, I purchased a 2016 Range Rover Sport TD6, which is a diesel engine. I know you're probably thinking, wow, Range Rover sells diesel engines. Yeah, I didn't know that neither. So my decision on purchasing that vehicle was really hyped up around the fact that it was a diesel engine. So also what really motivated me to look into the car more and get it is because not only, well, it was a 2016, so you would think, well, that's a pretty old Range Rover, but it only had 40,000 miles on it, which is probably should have been a red flag to me. But this vehicle was a leased vehicle, so that means that it was leased. You know, when people lease vehicles, they don't like to drive the miles up because they're going to pay for any overage in miles. So I'm thinking, okay, cool, it was a leased vehicle, that means it was taken care of, so I shouldn't have any issues. Yeah. Now, to reassure that I won't have any issues, and if I did, I would be protected, I did buy a $3,500 full warranty. It was bumper to bumper, and it was for either 5 years or 100,000 miles, whichever came first. Again, this vehicle only had 40,000 miles on it, so I was like, heck yeah, that's going to be good, and I went for it. So I was very secure with driving that vehicle off the lot. The price of the vehicle, it was $47,000, and I ended up financing it for a little over $50,000 after the warranty was applied and everything. So I test drove the vehicle. The car literally had a new car smell. Like when I got into the car, it smelled like it was still like brand new off the lot. The engine was amazing. It drove beautifully, and I did not think anything of it. So fast forward about 2 months into me driving the vehicle, a mileage countdown indicator came on that said I had 250 miles before no restarts because my DEF fluid was running low. So I didn't think much of it. I was like, okay, cool. It is a used vehicle, so maybe they didn't service it recently. Let me go ahead and take it to Range Rover to get it serviced. So one thing about me, whenever I get a car, a used car, I try to take it to the dealership for service, even though people say, oh my God, it costs more money to do that. I try to do that because I want to make sure the car is being kept up in the best way possible. So that's why I took it to the Range Rover dealership. So I scheduled a 40,000 mile service, and when I went there, they were like, oh, it's going to be $1,300 to do the service. I was like, $1,300 for what? So the man went down everything they would do, and I was like, well, for now, all I need is my DEF change and my oil change. So I only paid $450 for those two services to be done. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like that's a lot of money to pay. But Range Rovers don't require an oil change, but for like every 6 months. So I'm like, all right, I don't have a problem with spending $400 to $500, maybe $600 every 6 months to keep this car serviced because it is a luxury vehicle. So I have no issues doing that. So I went ahead, let them do the work. They swapped out my DEF fluid, which should be changed every time you have an oil change. And they did my oil, and I drove off. It was perfect. So fast forward to around January, the light came on again. So I'm like, that wasn't a full 6 months, but the light came on again that the DEF fluid was going low. I've been doing some homework around DEF fluid, and I found out that you can buy it from like AutoZone or some auto parts store, and you can put it in your car yourself, right? So I'm looking up all these YouTube videos. I even called Range Rover and said, hey, can I add my own DEF fluid to my car? They said yes. I gave them the exact brand, which is Peak. I think it's called Peak DEF. I'll have the picture right here for you to see. They said it's okay. And so once Range Rover gave me the go that I can use this Peak DEF fluid, I went for it. I mean, it was about 30 bucks for a 2-gallon box of it, and they had the spout that came with it. I looked at several YouTube videos about how to put it in the car, and you're thinking it's just DEF fluid, guys. I'm prior service. I served in the United States Army, and we would fill up our diesel trucks with DEF fluid all the time. It was literally like a no-brainer, and it didn't harm the engine at all. So I'm thinking the same thing here. So in January of 2022, I put the DEF fluid in my car. Actually, I think it was December 31st when I put it in, New Year's Eve. And I was excited because I was like, I don't got to pay 200 bucks for them to do it at Range Rover. I can do it myself. That's going to cut my oil change bill in half, which is a plus. And I'm not doing something that's going to potentially hurt my vehicle, at least so I thought. So I'm driving around almost the whole month of January. And then around January 16th, this light came on. It was 250 miles before no restarts, and it was telling me that they had detected an incorrect DEF fluid detected. Incorrect DEF fluid detected. So you can imagine how I'm looking, because there's no other DEF fluid that you can put in a car. At least so I thought. Then they were like, well, it could have been bad DEF fluid, but I didn't know DEF fluid can go bad. So I'm so confused at this point. I call Range Rover. Range Rover is swamped. They're not able to get me in. I'm telling them, listen, my mileage is telling me I have 200 plus miles before the car is not going to start again. I need to get this car in here. So they were being very difficult at first. So I took it. So I contacted my warranty company, and they gave me a list of authorized dealers that I can go to. And I found this place called Christian Brothers here in Charlotte, North Carolina, that they were able to take my car in the same day and get it diagnosed to see what's going on. And so I went for it. Christian Brothers were able to get back with me the same day on a diagnostic. They told me that it was the DEF module that had went bad, and I needed to have that replaced. That was a $3,000 job, and my warranty company actually covered it. So I only had to pay like the deductible, which was $450 for the deductible, and they were going to cover my rental for up to 7 days. But here's the bad thing, guys. Because of the current logistics situation, they weren't going to be able to have my part in until a month later. Aww. 1 whole month. I was devastated. So now I don't have a car, and I have to pay for a rental car if I want it beyond the 7 days. So at this point, I don't have any choice. I just want my car to be fixed so I can move on. Mind you, I'm paying a car note on this car. I mean, I already have money invested into this car already. I'm just ready to get my car back so we can move on, right? So I ended up paying a little bit beyond my 7 days, but after a while, I just couldn't afford to pay every week almost 500 bucks for a rental car. So I ended up just not having a rental, and I had to Uber wherever I wanted to go. Thank goodness I stay right next door to a beautiful shopping center. So I was able to get my Starbucks coffee in the morning and still go grocery shopping by just walking next door, which was a godsend. I wouldn't know what I would have done if I stayed in a rural place or an area that didn't have stores near me. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I made it through that month. The part came in, and they put the part on. So they put the part on. They called me and said, hey, Ms. Johnson, your car is ready to be picked up. I'm super excited. This happened in January, so February, close to March. It was like the end of February when they were finally done. And I went and picked my car up, and I was super excited. Driving, not a care in the world. Not a care in the world. About 5 days later, that same light came on. 250 miles before no engine restarts. Incorrect DEF fluid detected. Y'all, at this point, I'm watching this spiral out of control right before my eyes. I take it back to Christian Brothers like the next day, upset. Like, the light came back on, you guys said it was this, and it's still back on. So I waited at Christian Brothers that day all day long, and from like the time they opened to the time they closed, you know, I think I got there at 1 p.m. and I stayed there until like 5. So they finally came to me, they was like, we're not sure what it is. Then they started saying, if I were you, I would get rid of it. It's a lot that goes into the DEF system, and it can be anything. I mean, I was just like, what? Get rid of my car that I just bought less than a year ago? You're crazy, you know? They were serious. So the mechanic, he said he tried his best to turn the light off, because then I was like, okay, well, you know what? I might have to just sell it. I'm gonna sell it to CarMax or somewhere so I can get at least most of my money back and then just sell it. So he tried to reprogram it to turn off that warning sign, and it didn't work. Like the light, the warning sign was still on. So I'm upset at this point. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I contact Range Rover again, and I tell them, listen, I just had this done. The light is still on. You guys need to get me in there so I can figure out what's wrong with my car. So the young lady said, okay, you can come on in. So I'm leaving Christian Brothers and I'm heading to Range Rover. And guess what happened, guys? The warning light just goes off. The warning light goes off. So when I get to Range Rover, of course, they're looking at me like nothing's on. So they did a diagnostics, which cost me $124 and most of my day waiting for them to do that. And they said, okay, the light's not on. Come back when the light's on so we can really look into it. And then they had their diesel expert there that day, and they were both, my assistant and the diesel expert were both telling me, if I were you, I would get rid of it. Imagine being have a loan for $50-something on a car, and you have people at Range Rover telling you to get rid of your car. What? Get rid of it? There's no solution to fix this? After they look at it, they're like, this car is perfect, in perfect condition. There's nothing wrong with it. When the light comes back on, just come back and we'll, fix it. But it might not come back on, but it might come back on. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So I take the car, I drive, and about a week later, the light comes back on. And this time it was right before I had to take a trip to Georgia, where I'm from. So I'm now devastated. I'm upset. I'm just like over it. At this point, it's playing tricks with my heart and my mind. I'm over it, So that morning, I go straight to Range Rover in tears, in complete shambles at this point, because this is so unreal to me. The car literally is counting down the miles before it will not start again. That is scary. All right, so I get to Range Rover first thing that morning. I am sobbing beyond control because it's heartbreaking. It's almost like a breakup, because you invest all this money in this thing and it's just not working for you. Yeah, you feel stuck. So anyway, they are very sympathetic for my situation. They try their best to help me out, and they let me get a rental while the car is being looked at. And I'm thinking the rental is going to be for as long as they have my car, but no. They tried to get a rental back, and I was just like, no, you're not getting this rental back until you tell me what's wrong with my car and you figure this out. A week goes by, and they call me and say, all right, we looked over it. It's your DEF injectors. The DEF injectors have crystallization around them, and we have to get those replaced. But it's going to take a month for your injectors to come in. but we're gonna need that rental car back from you because we're not gonna be able to pay for it for the whole month because it's gonna be outside of our budget. Do you think I gave them that rental car back? No. I said, okay, order it, and when my part come in and y'all fix my truck, then I'll give you your rental back. Respectfully. So during the month, I'm having conversations with Range Rover just to try to get a better understanding of what's going on. I'm looking up different Range Rover forums. There's other people that's going through this exact same thing. And they were also trying to do like a class action lawsuit for this particular issue because the car outside of the DEF system works beautifully. It's just the whole thing of shutting a car down and not allowing it to be restarted is so dangerous. And I've seen things online where some people were even driving their car and this light came on and their car just stopped running. That is super dangerous. So they were trying to put up a class action lawsuit for this particular thing, but I don't know where they are with that. I'm trying to get reassurance from the people at Range Rover that once they change the injectors that I won't have this issue no more, because you shouldn't be having these kind of issues with a car with only 40,000 miles on them anyway. You know what they told me, guys? They said, even if we change the injectors, that light may still come back on because with the DEF system, it's not when you diagnose it, it doesn't tell you exactly what's wrong. It just says the system. So you have to go through a process. And to change the injectors, that was going to be $1,500 to change it. And my warranty said they were not going to cover it. They said they were not going to cover it because they already covered that issue in a previous work order, which was when they changed my DEF module. So at this point, I'm like, my wheels are turning. I'm like, okay, I got to get out of this situation or else I'm going to be out of a car and I'm going to have a bad car on my hand, a limit on my hand, and I can't be without a vehicle. So I started then at that moment looking for other cars to buy. So I knew that I didn't want to get another car that was expensive because I have this expensive piece of junk on my hands that I need to work on. So I started looking for reliable cars that were less expensive. And I ended up finding a car on Carvana. It was a Mazda CX-5 and it was, very inexpensive, but Mazdas check out to be pretty reliable vehicles from what I've read. So I was just like, fine, I'll take it. So I ended up getting approved for the Mazda CX-5 that I found on Carvana. It was about, I think, $18,000 for that car. It was a 2018, I think. It was like 20 something thousand, like 25,000. It was a 2018 and I was like, I'll go for it. Just get me out of this Range Rover that's playing with my mind and my heart and give me something dependable, guys. So I got approved for the loan. They were in the process of delivering it to me. So I said, let me go by the actual Mazda dealership so that I can look at how I even like it, because I hadn't seen the car in person. So I went to the Mazda dealership to just check out how that car looked and ended up getting approved for a brand new Mazda CX-5 with 0 miles on it. And I didn't need to get the Carvana car. That was a total blessing and I'm so appreciative for that, to have me, because I was thinking I'm gonna have to just get a used car. I'm not gonna be able to afford a new car right now off the lot. But for me to be able to have gotten approved for a brand new Mazda CX-5 in the midst of all of this was just nothing but God. And I thank him for that. But anyway, back to the Range Rover story. So I tried to sell it, but I couldn't. I ended up telling Range Rover that I did not want to have the items replaced, that I'm just going to do away with the car. And I have contacted my bank to do a voluntary repossession of that vehicle. And right now they're in the process of doing that voluntary repossession. At the time I was dating somebody and he had to take a little small road trip somewhere. So I was like, hey, let's take the Range Rover and drive the miles out just to see what's going to happen, because I knew I wasn't going to go get it fixed anymore. I'm not spending no more money on that car. So we drove the Range Rover to and from that place, and it was exactly the exact mileage that was left on the car, which I thought was so crazy. So we rode around, and then the engine light came on. So when the miles count down to 0, the engine light came on. We're like, oh my gosh. So we're still riding around, and the car's still going. And at this point, there's 0 miles for no restarts. And we're like, oh my gosh, right? So he parks the car, and then we park it where we're gonna leave it at. And he turns it off. We wait a few minutes, and then he turns it back on, and it started. We were like, oh, look, see, it starts. You know, it just got the warning sign. It's probably a computer, you know, whatever. We're just thinking, okay. So we're like, oh, it starts. There's no more miles to count down, but it started. So we're like, cool. So then the next day we get up, and I'm like, I want to take the car to the store just to see. So like the store next door. Just to ride it around and see what's going on. So we walk to the car, to the Range Rover, and I get in the car and I press the start button and nothing happens. It literally was gone. No more starts. I got super emotional in that moment, and I'm getting emotional now because I love Range Rovers. I think they are amazing cars, but for that to have happened to me and I not know when the end point was going to be, like, it's one thing to fix something and you know once you fix it, it's done. But it's another thing to fix something over and over again and you never will know if it's ever going to solve that problem. That is so disheartening, guys. Like, I was like crying. Yeah, that's pretty much my Range Rover horror story. We're about to go out to the car now so I can show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm gonna try to start the car. But right now I'm waiting for my bank to come and pick up the car so they can just go ahead and like do what they gotta do with it, and I'll pay off whatever the balance is. Yeah, it's just sitting out there. So let's go check out the car. All right, so we're heading out to my Range Rover so you guys can see what I'm talking about. All right, so here it is. This is my 2016 Range Rover TDR6. I actually got the wheels painted and everything. Like, it's a nice car. So here's the inside of it. It's been sitting here for about a couple of weeks now. And here's the interior. Very beautiful car. And when I try to start it, you see that? That's what it does. It doesn't come on. All right, and here's the mileage that I have on it. Currently I have 53,000 miles on it. So yeah, very beautiful car. Got a little trash there I gotta clean up, but very beautiful car. All black interior, nice, well kept, well maintained. All right, so here's when I turn on like the accessory. No engine restarts possible. Incorrect diesel exhaust fluid quality detected. But yeah, that's what I've been dealing with this car since January. And you know, it's very unfortunate because it's a beautiful car, but it's just, it's a lot of money and it's a lot of, you know, hardship that you might be taking on if you decide that you want to like get the vehicle and like fix it. So that's it. All right, so that's the end of my video. I'm just so happy that things panned out the way they needed to pan out. I ended up getting a brand new car, and you know, everything happens for a reason though. So I'm glad it happened sooner than later, and all you can do at this point is move on. But just make sure you try your best at least to make the best purchasing decisions in the, you know, whenever you go buy a luxury vehicle, because you just never know what type of issues you might find yourself in with these cars. So be safe out there, y'all. Bye.